Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. I'm your host, The Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy.
I am Becky with the good hair.
You can't be Becky with the good hair. That's Becky Lynch. Come on.
You kidding me right now?
You can't be Becky with the good hair. It's Becky Lynch.
You have no understanding where that comes from, do you?
It's some kind of Beyonce thing, but I haven't looked it up because I don't even.
You know, when I said I was going to say that, I'm like, I wonder if Duke really thinks this is like a Mauro Ranallo, Becky Lynch thing, and doesn't really understand where it comes from.
No, it's some Beyonce thing. I'm good at for the most
Duke
part.
hates Beyonce. Fact.
Hang on.
Okay.
For the most part, knowing where memes come from, but not caring to actually find out what the deal is. I guess it's some song or something she did.
Jay-Z cheated on her, and she refers to the girl as Becky with the good hair.
Becky with the good
and
hair.
And allegedly,
Beyonce
fans harassed Rachel Ray because of it.
Isn't she Becky with the bad hair? Isn't that what she is to Beyonce? And then Becky with the good hair is Becky Lynch.
Normally I do this stall tactic at the end of the show and not in the beginning, so you kind of throwing me for a loop here.
But
have you watched Camp WWE?
I have. Hang on. It is Friday, May 13th. So we decided to delay for a day, mainly because I had some things I had to get taken care of. But I've actually watched SmackDown this week, Larry. So that's good news, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you see the epic fallout from the Gold Dango versus
that was
whatever?
Interesting.
Yeah. No, they're leading the WrestleMania 33, dude.
Yeah, totally.
It's going all the way.
Yeah, all the way. And they'll be
champions. That'll be the feel-good story this year. R-Truth and Goldust will win the tag titles at WrestleMania 33.
Or maybe it could go back and forth, and Fandango and Tyler Breeze could actually become baby faces, and they could win. I'm fresh talent.
Odds are the Ascension are going to win at WrestleMania 33.
Odds are.
So what do we got today?
I think it's news and notes time. So take it away.
Do we have a news and notes intro yet?
We really should get one.
All right, here we go. I'm going to make one right now.
All right,
I'm going to make one right now.
Ready?
News and notes.
That's awful.
I think I need a pop filter. It makes it sound better. All right, ready for this?
Yeah, go.
Adam Rose was arrested recently and therefore indefinitely suspended by the WWE. Now that is triggering additional rumors that there's going to be another mass layoff coming in the future sometime after Extreme Rules. Now, this is the 1 week anniversary of Black Friday, where the following superstars were already released: King Barrett, Santino, Christian, Brooklyn Brawler, El Torito, Hornswoggle, Jeb Coulter, Cameron, Damian Sandow, and Alex Riley.
So, just real quick.
Yeah.
It's
Jeb with a J.
Side note.
Yeah.
When you go, let's say you go to Africa, or even you go to the zoo, and you see an animal that looks kind of like a horse or maybe a donkey, but it's got black and white stripes. What do you call that?
I'm going to say zebra.
So you don't call that a zebra?
I don't call that a zebra, no.
Okay, just wondering. Okay, that's all. Just a quick side note. Continue.
It is Jeb Coulter, by the way. I looked it up. What surprised you most on this list? And I understand the answer is Alex Riley, but why?
Yeah, it is Alex Riley, because it seemed like he came back with a story, and I don't know what the deal is. Does he just?
And he was already announced for like next week's TV show.
Yeah, and
then he was like fired, and then he was on the TV show.
Right. Yeah. It was pre-taped, so it's like they already had it in the can or whatever. So why not?
And he might have another match. Who knows? Because they're a couple weeks in the can. So.
And it wasn't a bad match either. It was a pretty cool match with Nakamura.
I said to my dad, who I watch it with, and I go, I wonder if he did something during this match to mess up and like almost like give Nakamura an injury scare or something, or went the way of something happened backstage at the tapings and that's why he was fired. But everything was clean in the match.
Yeah, I came away from it asking the exact same questions, and I was like scrutinizing the match and I watched it more than once. I'm like, is there something he did? Was he maybe not supposed to be that snarky about everything. What's the but that's kind of his character. That
That's
doesn't.
his character
I
right
don't
now.
even.
So
What's going on? Does he run his mouth backstage a lot? So I just kind of went through all this, the same things as you. It's just like,
yeah, I think it was June 2014 when they had a big mass firing as well, where Jinder Mahal and Drew Galloway or Drew McIntyre all got fired on that day. Brodus Clay was fired on that day as well, and I think it was like after he had a match with Neville at NXT and an NXT taping, and like legit knocked teeth out of Neville's mouth.
oh, geez.
And like, I wonder if that had contributed to his firing then.
Sure.
And Alex Riley, like something happened with Alex Riley, because it makes no sense because he was pretty hot, and NXT is kind of thin. Oh, they're stacked. I don't know how talent wise they're stacked, but they're stacked in depth on the house show side of things from guys that have not yet made the TV and the guys that are just doing performance center stuff.
Yeah, but TV is a completely different animal.
Right. The TV, seem like they needed Alex Riley, but
well, and especially the production value alone of entrances and music and how someone does
music,
their entrance.
I love his entrance music.
I love his entrance music. I love his graphics too. It's that barbed wire fence type thing.
Yeah.
Interlocking fence thing. I've liked Alex Riley in NXT, especially since he's returned, sort of as an edgelord or whatever, but it's
yeah, I agree.
I've enjoyed it, so but I told you about that podcast where I heard him talk about some stuff and things people said to him and things like that. So
right, yeah, and I mentioned that on the little quick breaking news thing I did. Right. And I didn't mean that was still a reason why he got fired.
Oh yeah, I know you did.
But it was like something I never heard of before, and he had heat at one time. So
yeah,
some people don't forgive and forget. Other times you're allowed to be a convicted rapist and be in the Hall of Fame.
And sometimes if you run your mouth on podcasts, you're probably running your mouth backstage a lot too. So, so there is that thing where some people can't get over their own personality and ego, and it gets in the way of them being successful in any endeavor a lot of times.
So
I'm not saying that's him, but anyway. And then Damien on the Sandow completely other end of the spectrum, Damien Sandow.
Damien Sandow was released, and the reason given on his release was it's a new era. We're going to do new things. You're a victim of circumstance. It's nothing you did.
Right.
And that was expressed by the office to Damien Sandow at the time he was notified of his release. Now, he's not a newbie by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
The last time he was in anything that had merit, he was over with the fans. Anytime he makes his way to the ring, sarcastic or not, he's over with the fans. He's like that. He got a reaction to me that's kind of like the 12th man on a basketball bench.
Right.
When he gets into the game and the crowd goes nuts, like a Rudy kind of thing,
Sure.
He never plays, the crowd, he gets in the game and all of a sudden the crowd goes nuts. But it's legitimate at the same time as it is sarcastic.
Yeah, because he's a good worker too.
Yeah, and he was really over on the Mizdow thing.
Right.
And I think he was thrown into that cornball Macho Man Dow thing right after it that went nowhere because of Hulk Hogan and all that.
Well, and it was a stupid gimmick anyway, but
right,
he did it well, but it was a stupid gimmick.
Jay Lethal did it better.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is he never had an opportunity after he was hugely over. So while he's not new in this new era, it just seems weird that he wouldn't be a part of the new era because he's been off of TV for so long in any great capacity. So I'm really upset of that. But at the same time, if he can go elsewhere to a reputable product and be a mainstay on their rosters, I think he's good for anywhere he goes to. And that's good for whatever company it winds up being.
Well, and I think the only place he can go that you could call reputable there's two places he could go that you could call reputable these days, and that's ROH and New Japan. And I'm not harshing on TNA, but it's just, let's just be real. So,
well, TNA can still make talent.
Yeah.
It's not that people can still get over in TNA.
That's true.
Because it is a forum.
That's true. But but for him to possibly rebound back into WWE, I would think it would need to be Ring of Honor or New Japan, I don't think he would do New Japan because I've seen something on his social media where he's talked about running for public office, or some sort of government thing or something like that in the past. So I would see him, if he was going to do anything, I would see him either doing TNA or Ring of Honor.
I can't see Ring of Honor. I just don't see him as fitting a Ring of Honor style.
Even with
I think
Dalton
he's been
Castle?
too. What's that?
Even with Dalton Castle?
Dalton Castle. Well, I mean, I see Ring of Honor as like pure indie, and I never see guys who make it mainstream,
I see.
like
Yeah.
ever getting back into Ring of Honor. Perhaps if he was an indie guy growing up and was released out of TNA or I'm sorry, NXT or FCW, he would be one of those guys. But
I got you.
Yeah, it's very rare that somebody. Jamie Noble did it, and TNA guys like Alex Shelley and Daniels and Kazarian and those guys do it, but there were Ring of Honor guys before TNA as well. So
well,
I don't know.
Stevie Richards would be the only real WWE example outside of.
But those are spot shows, right?
Huh?
Those are spot shows, or
what do you mean spot shows?
He's not full time on the Ring of Honor roster, is he?
He's not full time, but he shows up a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
And against their top
prove
talent,
me wrong. Prove me wrong. It'd be awesome.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to see him.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm still interrupting the news and notes. Keep going.
Because because the pay-per-view's coming up, and there's been a lot of rumors, and then Adam Rose goes and gets himself arrested and suspended indefinitely. There's going to be another set of layoffs, according to pretty much all sources, happening pretty much the Friday after Extreme Rules. Do you want to take any guesses who's going to be on that list?
I don't know, man. I feel like
I got five names off the top of my head.
Yeah, I wish you would ask me before we were like. I wish you would send that over to me because I would have come up with something. But
you want me to finish the news and notes and then we'll rehash this?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
We'll come back to it. It'll give me a chance to think about something.
All right. So this is our TNA Troubles segment.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but Velvet Sky has also left TNA.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that last week. Yep.
Okay, I did. All right. I think I forgot it a couple times, and then I threw it in there. Eli Drake, Jesse Goddard, Robbie E. Don't remember which ones I said. They all resigned with TNA. Crazy Steve. The downside to TNA now, the bad news and notes for TNA, Pop TV has pulled the TNA replay that moved from Tuesday nights right after Impact Wrestling to Saturday afternoons. It's now no longer on the schedule at all. So naysayers who said they moved it because it's not performing well and Pop TV is not really happy with it. TNA people were saying they're testing a new market. Now it's just not on the schedule, at least for this week altogether. Paige has a new boyfriend, Duke.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Alberto Del Rio.
That is, I'm still just wondering if they're trolling people. Is it for real? I don't know.
I mean, Del Rage is a good celebrity name I can give him.
Man,
right?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Albert. Yeah. So that's all I have for that. Speaking of Del Rio, though, do you know who they reportedly might bring in if they repackage him with a personal ring announcer? Melissa Santos.
Oh my
from Lucha
God.
Underground.
That would be. You talk about. You want Del Rio over? Done. Holy freaking
You think
crap.
so?
Oh yeah, she's like Smarkville, like
she's the she's Olivia Munn of ring announcers.
She really is. I mean, she's like I actually saw a thread on Squared Circle where someone, and this was actually pretty cool. It was a compelling idea that I could see it actually working, and he said, what if Melissa Santos is Aztec royalty, and that's why she works in the temple, is because Dario is basically keeping an eye on her because he knows who she is, even if she doesn't know he knows who she is. So, just basically
I'm thinking like she's a dragon.
Basically, well, sure. Basically, she could just kind of run the whole thing at the drop of a hat because of her lineage, and she's just being the ring announcer at the moment. So anyway,
so you think like season 7, which they tape next week, that she'll be all of a sudden pull the I'm the owner card?
No. That's season 8. Jeez.
Oh, season 8. I'm sorry.
Jeez, you're so behind.
Well, long term, we're thinking, we're planning.
No, but it was a compelling, and the guy fleshed it out a lot better than I did just now in a few seconds. But it was a really cool, compelling story that
I have to get back into it. But I don't remember this. I don't care for the whole fantasy stuff that they do. But I don't care if there's a long, dragged out, long play kind of story, soap opera like that. I just hate when it screws the line of realism. Like, that's where I lose it.
Yeah, from what I hear, this season has been just, besides the fantasy stuff, the wrestling has been better than ever, and they've actually put a lot more story in the matches, as opposed to, like, I mean, they always told a pretty good story, but it's just been a little bit, things have been fleshed out in the ring a little bit more.
And I wonder if most of the audience is like we are, where we're not watching it right away because we know it's been taped for so long, because the numbers have been going down pretty much weekly for the TV side.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to go digital, because I feel like that saves Lucha Underground from I don't know if it saves them from a financial standpoint, but of course they kind of have gone that way.
Bootleg it.
They're on iTunes, but yeah, people already bootleg it. So
I think they get more from the advertising from TV than they would from sales digitally.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Especially if people bootlegging it already. The people who used to watch it might bootleg as well. So who knows? And the last bit of news and notes here before we get back to our little fantasy GM segment. It's finally happening, Duke. Finally.
The
best wrestler on the women's side from NXT made her debut.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Dana Brooke.
Oh, I thought we were going to. Oh,
Dana Brooke.
You meant on the main roster. I thought you were talking about NXT.
Made the main roster, and we are that much closer to the Galaxy's greatest matchup of all time: Dana Brooke versus Nikki Storm on headlining WrestleMania.
Headlining WrestleMania 33.
No, 34.
34.
In London.
Give them an extra year. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it in London. Yeah. It's close to Glasgow.
Let's do it in Glasgow.
So that's
just
awesome.
Do it outside.
Do you know why they brought up?
We'll do it
Dana
in
Brooke?
Scotland Yard.
Do it in Scotland Yard. Do you know why they brought up Dana Brooke though?
Well, they didn't have very many ladies on the non-injured active roster. Did they?
It was pretty much Emma and Dana are now the new Naomi and Tamina because of injuries.
Yeah.
So whatever Naomi and Tamina might have done, it's now going to be Emma and Dana doing the doing. So that's the only reason why. And who knows when
they have great chemistry though. It'll be good.
They do. Did Dana get surgery? I need to ask this outright.
Dana's head tap. No, I just think she hasn't been in the ring as much, and she's a little. I like she kind of looked a little thicker everywhere, and I don't mean that in a negative.
No,
way.
I agree with you. Yeah. I think so too. But
I think
it was
just,
it was 15 minutes of pondering is what it was during the match, trying to figure it out. But okay, let's go back to our fantasy GM segment. Let me reset this. There's going to be more cuts on the way on the WWE roster. Let's try to flesh out some superstars and see if we can nail it down. Who do you have? Well, we'll go 1-on-1. You give me one, I'll go one.
All right, I'm going to call. I'm just looking at the list and I'm seeing it from top to bottom. So we're not putting Adam Rose in the. Oh man, my keyboard is whacking out. So I had a little accident earlier where I spilled a drink on my keyboard, and apparently it's messing with my keyboard.
What kind of drink was it though?
It was just a tea. So
just a tea?
Yeah. And it was a green tea, so it shouldn't be that bad, but I definitely need to turn the keyboard upside down and let it dry overnight and hope for the best. Anyway, sorry for the side note. So we're not going to talk about Adam Rose because it's assumed that's probably just.
All right. Well, we'll just both say we had Adam Rose on our list. He's definitely gone.
Okay. Then the next person, I'm going to say something that may make people hate me, if they're listening to this, but I'm actually gonna say Alicia Fox.
Alicia Fox is on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely on my list.
Yeah.
I think that without the Bellas, there's like nothing for Alicia Fox right now that couldn't be filled by a role of somebody younger, newer, fresher, especially if they're going in that direction, unfortunately. And she's not to say that she's not the type of person personality wise to go back down to NXT, but there's been very few people who have been demoted to NXT and in lieu of anything on the main roster for them, Emma and Cameron or whatever. But yeah, I think she's on the list. I have another name on my list, and let's just say the Ryback as well.
Sure.
We'll get him off the list. His merchandise is all on clearance on WWEshop.com.
Sure.
Every bit of it. I'm gonna go Jack Swagger.
Yeah, and I've actually seen people like talk pro Jack Swagger recently, which was just mind-boggling to me. But
I think that was what's his name? Tyler Breeze and Jack Swagger had a match on Superstars or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty good. And I don't hate the guy, but I mean, how many people do you injure before
not even
you
the
are
injury
a liability?
I mean, he's just on my I have nothing for you, we're going newer kind of list.
Fair enough.
You know, I'm doing that. You have anyone else?
I'm just going back through the list. I hope I'm not going to put him on the list, but I will just honorable mention. I hope Eric Rowan still has a future with the company, but he's so locked into that has to be attached to the Wyatt's role, and every time and he got injured, then he comes back and like everybody else gets injured. So
and they're all off TV now.
Strowman, and they're all off TV. Yeah. So they have big plans for big Strowman, but Rowan has kind of always been the odd man out.
The Strowman plans might have even been nixed at this point.
They very well could have been.
Yeah. So. All the guys with injuries of note, Bray Wyatt, of course, John Cena, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, all due back soon.
Yeah.
According to Vince McMahon's latest whatever.
His media call or something.
Yeah, his media call.
Yeah, I'm not going to put Eric Rowan necessarily on the list, but
no,
he would definitely be an honorable mention for the list.
Because you can do the Wyatt family without him. You really still could.
You can, especially now.
Yeah.
Just
Heath Slater.
Yeah, I let you say him because that's the one that jumped out at me.
He's absent from TV. Yeah. He's the only thing he's involved in is pretty much crashed and burned already because of Adam Rose.
Could you see the Ascension being?
I could.
Kicked. Yeah.
I could. I could see the Ascension being kicked because without Connor, Victor is nothing. At least because that's basically how they've been packaged their whole.
Yeah, that's their
NXT.
Gimmick. Yep.
Yeah. He had a few solo matches in the beginning, but that's pretty much it for Rick Victor. He is an Ascension guy. Unfortunately, and this is with a heavy heart, I say this, and I don't want to say it. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. I mean, I think this whole Adam Rose thing kills the social outcasts. And then there is a situation where they have to repackage these guys somewhere else again. And if you have nothing for them right now, they're back off TV.
Yeah, you know? I don't know about Bo. What I'm about to say, I don't know that you could do this with Bo because of who he was in NXT. I could see Curtis Axel going down to NXT and hanging out there a la I could actually see them going together, but that's kind of weird because Bo was
I'm just going by precedent here. Yeah. Within the last, since they've taken NXT seriously, and that was like a couple months after the network debuted in 2014, there's been no real demotions back to NXT.
Zack Ryder.
Zack Ryder, yeah, it was kind of Zack Ryder, Emma, and Cameron is basically all I can think of.
Well, 2 for 3 of those have been a success.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So now if they're going new, do you bring guys like that back to NXT and revert NXT without elevating the guys that you're pretty much paying to be the next superstars?
Yeah. Well,
just for TV, for TV purposes?
The other problem with NXT is getting all this TNA and other talent, and possibly picking up some of the cruiserweight guys after that's all said and done and all that. So
I think they're really separate entities now, and I think once you graduate, you're done.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that at least.
And that's what I think we had this argument a couple weeks ago when I said with Tyler Breeze, when you know it's not working, like, did Tyler Breeze get the promotion only to be like his career has been ruined? Was he better off in NXT still being that, B plus player? Let's say he's top of the card, but only in the losing role, but he's, better than the rest, kind of, putting people over who are the main eventers and then beating the other guys. It's kind of like how do they want to view NXT? And, when it comes to graduating people. And unfortunately, I think once you graduated, and I don't think there's a promotion relegation system ongoing in WWE. So one more name on my list.
Rosa Mendez was the next person I was going to say. It's harsh, but I would call that.
I didn't even consider her, but yeah, I'd fire Rosa before Alicia or both of them. Just get rid of them both.
All right, who's next on yours?
No, I think that was it on my list. Because you said because we said Adam Rose and the Ryback already, but you worry about people who are injured, like slightly, who haven't been around, like Naomi, like Tamina. Rosa Mendez, I totally just forgot for whatever reason. And then you said, the Ascension.
I feel like people who have a strong connection to someone else, like marriage and stuff like that, I wouldn't say they're completely safe, but I could see them being much, much safer than other people that...
Who are we talking about? Oh, Naomi?
Mainly like on the ladies' side, Naomi and Tamina. Tamina has the family connection, and then Naomi has the husband on the main roster who's part of the main event storyline. So it's or angle, whatever.
The one name I didn't want to bring up, and I'll bring it up because we're talking injuries and stuff. Tyson Kidd.
I thought about that too,
but I think I don't know where the line is between like being cruel and being like smart on business.
But I think the thing with him, though, he's still part of, because Natty's still on Total Divas, so he's still part of Total Divas. So I don't know.
Yeah, it is a Total Divas.
I don't know how much they have to be connected to WWE. Like, I would assume they still have to have some sort of contract, even if it's not an in-ring one.
Does that mean Alicia Fox is safe, or is she one of the people? Is she off? Okay, because I remember Rosa Mendez is off, and
she was one of the people that were off. So and Summer Rae's still there. So I guess she was someone I would have said, but because of Total Divas, I would expect her to stick around for a while.
You want a left field one here, just to end it?
Yeah, end it.
ZZ.
and Smarks everywhere would rejoice. So
does he get a lot of because you do the whole Reddit squared circle /r/www dot whatever. Does he get a lot of heat on there?
He gets very few mentions, but anytime.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I don't think anybody talks about him.
Yeah, anytime it comes up, it's like, oh God, this guy.
So all right, so that was
Of course, he was on their YouTube channel just a week ago, I think. On WWE's YouTube channel. Yeah, Robbie Brookside and Matt Bloom went down and watched him fish a gator out of the water.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he brought people to do gator, right? He brought people gator wrestling or whatever. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so there's I mean, the Ryback, Adam Rose kind of figure, Jack Swagger, Heath Slater, Alicia Fox, Rosa Mendez, Connor, Victor, and then we hope nots after that. the Bo Dallas, the Curtis Axels, and Tyson Kidds. So
and Heath Slater.
So we'll see what happens. They can also, it's not even guaranteed they're going to release people.
Right.
But
and when it's
all
said
might just
done,
be Adam Rose.
Well, and one thing to remember, or one thing, because there's really no such thing as enhancement talent necessarily anymore. you don't have these unknown locals that show up on TV.
Unless you're wrestling NXT tag teams.
Sure, but I mean
Or
on
you
the
mean the
main.
main roster?
I mean on
Okay,
the main roster. Yeah.
yeah. Unless
Where,
you were the Ascension back when they first came up, they haven't done squash matches ever
right.
since then.
And so you still have a place on the roster. Love it or hate it, you still have a place for someone who's essentially in a jobber role. And so I feel like that helps out on the social outcast side. So I don't know. On those guys, the remaining
Yeah,
guys.
just to me, like the only reason I'm even bringing him up is because Adam Rose screwed the social outcasts, or
Right.
whatever his suspension screwed the social outcasts.
Right.
And then Heath Slater's not on TV anymore. And if Heath Slater gets released, if Adam Rose get released, and now you have two guys who are in the Damian Sandow position of a year ago,
Sure.
where okay, we have nothing for these guys anymore except for maybe spot matches that mean nothing on main event or superstars. But who knows? Maybe they can still tag team as the social outcasts. It's been done before where a faction has been whittled down and they still performed under the same name. So it's not like you really have to kill them. Just add R-Truth and Goldust to the mix. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Because it's a hand.
Yeah. So
whatever.
But
so
we're off that.
Camp WWE sucks, right?
No.
Oh, come on. I didn't see the second one. I just saw the first one.
Second one was way better.
Okay. I just don't like. And
the first one was all about Vince. The second one is all about the other characters, and it's really, really good. It's really.
All right, I'll watch it. See, now we do this, whether we streamed video games when we did Marvel Heroes or whatever, or when we do this, whatever we do, we like to keep it PG-13. We don't like the excessive profanity stuff. We don't like the curse, just a curse. We dislike a few things we listen to because people just use curse words every 2 seconds as adjectives, verbs, and everything like that.
Yeah.
Not that we don't mind hearing them or we're babies or anything. It's just, it's how we're brought up, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
How we don't like that. I found watching Camp WWE was just like cursing for no reason. Like, I just felt like it didn't need it. And then I couldn't get away from that is basically, I guess, the reasoning for it. And plus episode 1 didn't really have any kind of strong plot line to really care about. But if you say 2's better, I'll give it a try.
Give 2 a try. I mean, there's still plenty of cussing in it, but it fleshes out everybody's character a little more.
Yeah.
And there's even some really funny adult humor at one point. I'll call out who it's with, but I won't say what it is. But with the Undertaker, that's actually pretty. The comedic timing of it is really good.
Right.
How about that? Like if you were watching it live, like it reminded me of something like Parks and Rec style, like that.
Okay.
That
I can get on board with that.
That good. Yeah, just relating it to something I know you like.
All right. So you wanted to mention something about the Bullet Club and the perception of wrestlers like the Bullet Club making it on the main roster years after.
Sure.
Popularity.
All right. So well, just a lot of people. Like I saw a video today, and it was like a remake of a video that channel had done before because WWE took it down, or copyright struck it or struck or whatever you say. Anyway, but I've seen other people allude to things like this. People talk about how the WWE really missed the boat on people like AJ Styles and all these guys that have come in, right? Essentially the Bullet Club guys, even including Finn Balor, if you wanted to lump him in with it, but all these people that have either come from Japan or Ring of Honor or TNA, so on and so forth. But people see these guys as these mega stars that did it outside of WWE. Sorry, I stuttered there for a second. But did it outside of the E, and people act like WWE really missed the boat on these guys. And maybe to a certain extent that's true, to a certain extent, but I feel like that's missing the bigger picture in that some of these guys became superstars because they weren't in WWE. AJ Styles is the biggest example, in my opinion. If AJ Styles would have been just as good as he is in WWE from his tryout match to now, do you think he would ever really have gotten over? Name everybody AJ's age. Like, seriously, name everybody AJ's age in WWE right now who's been here since they debuted or they tried out or whatever, and they've gotten over big like AJ has. Just name them.
Is that rhetorical, or you want me to start naming
people? It kind of is, because how many other 38-year-olds do you have in WWE right now who are like megastars? Crickets. I'm gonna get a cricket.
Oh, I'm thinking it's all rhetorical. I mean, you do have people. You have people. Yeah, really? I mean, I understand Roman Reigns.
What?
Seth Rollins.
Yeah, but they're not 38-year-olds.
Well, they're younger. Yeah. I thought your whole point was
no. What I'm saying is, younger. I'm saying someone that would have started when AJ started, like when AJ tried out for WWE. Name all the guys who would have started about that same time who are still around.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, can you name them? I mean, there's guys maybe that would have been but got injured or something like that, right? But with those exceptions like Edge and people like that, Christian, I mean, who else is there? I mean, there's just 16 years ago. Isn't that right? 16, 18-year career. Isn't that about right for him?
Well, I mean, if you're talking 16, 18 years, that's the Lesnar, Orton, Cena era.
Okay, fair enough. So that's who you've got. Now, of Lesnar, Orton, Cena, name the guys that are the same size as AJ Styles.
Orton.
Really?
I don't think Orton's bigger than AJ Styles. AJ Styles is pretty big. He's got a lot of muscle on him.
Yeah,
but I understand your point.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just it's a tiny pool of people, and yes, those are big guys, and they did start around the same time, or it would have been around the same time. But John Cena's way bigger, like from a physical standpoint, and he has an accent that's more appealing to a broader audience because he's not Southern. And then Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. And then Randy Orton, I would say he's taller, but he also has family heritage. To like he has one more thing that AJ doesn't have when WWE is trying to build a story around someone. So I just say all that. That was a really obnoxiously long side note to say I don't think AJ survives in the WWE system starting out when he did if he stays in WWE, if they pick him up. I think he just gets washed out like all the other quote-unquote cruiserweight talent, which is probably what he would get lumped in with at that time. And
right, he'd be with the Shannon Moores and your Jamie Nobles and your, whatever. Maybe he held the title last before Hornswoggle won it.
Sure, something dumb like that. Yeah, but yeah. He would be in a position to be essentially an agent at best these days, because that's pretty much all those guys in his class of wrestling as far as WWE is concerned. But he goes to TNA, becomes a star because they need homegrown stars, and he's right there with Joe and all these other guys that they've built so well, because that's one thing TNA has done over the years that people can't deny. They've built some stars, and look no further than AJ Styles on that. But then he does everything he can do there, gets over the obnoxious disorganization of it all, and goes to New Japan, is a great success there. WWE needs to fill out their roster, and lightning strikes, and it all comes together. But that's not WWE slept on this guy. I mean, maybe it is, but WWE slept on everyone in his class of wrestler for decades and are just now coming around to, oh, not everyone has to be 6'2" and above to be extremely over with crowds and
I think a
put
great
on
question is
something
when
entertaining.
has the WWE ever brought in somebody at the height of their popularity?
Right. That's a good point too. Yeah, that's huge.
Where they haven't tried to repackage them to make them their own, or they haven't gone through whatever short, long-term developmental system they had at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
You never just became hot somewhere and jump right into WWE. You want to hear some off the top of my head examples of this? It's all in the Monday Night Wars era, the Attitude Era. Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Anybody jumping from WCW would get like mainstream, like a main roster push, or there was only one roster at the time, but
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean. Anybody jumping back and forth would automatically be at the top of the other company's roster. But since that time, anybody who's
yeah.
been signed or came in went through some sort of grooming system first to acclimate them to the WWE style.
Sure.
So it's right place, it's right time, it's the right need.
It's a new
AJ
era.
Styles is hot right now, and
It's a new era, Larry. Just so you
yeah, it
know,
definitely is.
it's a new era.
Everything's hot right now with AJ Styles. Back when you said it probably would have failed, but somewhere in the middle there probably could have been like a window where he would have even been popular than now. It's all circumstance, happenstance.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, sure. And it's just it kind of reminds me of a rags to riches, like true rags to riches stories, where everyone sees where someone is at the end of the story, and they don't realize how they scraped and clawed to get there. And if it wasn't for all the scraping and clawing, they wouldn't be the success they are today. And it just reminds me. It reminds me of that. Everyone sees the end product and they think, "Wow, how did you miss this guy? How did you miss AJ Styles? How did you miss Carl Anderson? So on and so forth." And yeah, but if they didn't do all that stuff before, would they have really done it in WWE? Would it have gone the same way? So.
Do you know how many people the New York Yankees signed after big seasons who never replicated those seasons? But while other teams brought in talent that far exceeded what they did as well. And you're like, the Yankees should have just drafted that guy. Well, yeah, but that's not guaranteed 45 home runs. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a little bit of a stretch of an analogy.
No,
But you just can't take
yeah,
someone's stats from another company, organization, or whatever, or fan reaction, and just plug it right in. There's just too much stuff.
Yeah,
that happens.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, it's straight up lightning
Jay
in a bottle.
Buhner. My people said Jay Buhner. Sorry, they said Ken Phelps, not Jay Buhner. My bad. I messed that whole thing up. Sorry. Can we re-record that?
Nope.
Ken Phelps. My people said Ken Phelps. I smell a calzone.
There you go.
Costanza's in the building.
But yeah, I just kind of it's something that I see people talk about. Wrestlers who should have been in WWE long before they were, and it's just like, well, maybe.
You get the same argument for people who are already on the roster. Your Damian Sandows, your Dolph Zigglers. These guys should be world champions. These guys should be on the main event roster. These should be main eventing. The crowd loves them. They're so good. You get that kind of backseating, armchair quarterbacking.
Yeah.
On every level when it comes to wrestling, because
Sure.
you can. Any two dudes with a microphone can give their opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you have people who armchair quarterback the armchair quarterbacks, like us.
We definitely do that.
But
I armchair quarterback myself.
But that was my big topic for the week. I know it's not that deep or anything. It's just something to consider. That there's a bigger picture than, wow, this guy's really big. Why wouldn't WWE have hired them long ago? Well, maybe they wouldn't have been that big.
But I think it goes both ways too, just to like devil advocate here.
Oh yeah. Okay.
For a little bit. It could also go the way of, I say WWE doesn't bring in guys at the height of their prime or whatever. And for as like well knowledge I am about wrestling, there are holes in my viewing where I didn't watch wrestling at all. Burnout, whatever you want to call it. Prince Devitt, Finn Balor. Like I knew nothing of this guy except name only. Like I didn't know, I never seen him wrestle or whatever. So I think WWE got him at a good time. I think he's in NXT at the right time.
Yeah.
I think Nakamura, he might be a little bit dated. I don't know exactly how long his career's been. I know he's been around a little while, right? He might
Yeah.
be right place, right time for the fans as well.
Well,
Or just
I think he's younger than you think he is because
I think so too.
People always say he was a protege of Daniel Bryan, so he can't be that old.
No, I guess not. I mean,
he can't be that old in the business, you know.
They only talk about Inoki. He's a protege, not a protege, but he's kind of patterns after Inoki,
right,
or whatever. But I think there's there for every they didn't jump on this guy. They probably jumped on and elevated somebody else at the same time. They probably made mistakes too. They probably hired guys they shouldn't have.
Sure.
And pushed guys they shouldn't have. So I guess it's kind of like it's like your basic sports radio kind of day. People call up and say, this guy's a bum. Why didn't they sign this guy? This guy needs to get traded kind of deal. And they should have drafted this guy when they had the chance, especially with football. You get a quarterback, he's a bust. And then you hear about all the quarterbacks taken before that guy in the draft. And you're just like, oh, they should have signed any of these guys. We'd win the Super Bowl by now. So even though it's scripted or whatever, it still resonates with the fans the same way. So
yeah.
Is there anybody? Can you think of anybody that WWE just clearly, or the wrestler? Because there's also the wrestler side as well. Some people used to, before NXT, some people used to resent WWE.
Right.
I'll never work for that company. They'll never use me right. I've had a tryout. I didn't like it.
Sure.
Whatever. Is there anyone in your mind that stands out as the WWE just flat out dropped the ball on?
I was gonna say someone, but then you think of it from the wrestler side and everything you've heard about them. It's just like, then that may not have been all WWE. I'll just go ahead and say it, Goldberg.
Right, okay.
But that's not.
Like I think at that point in time, I think they missed the ball on a lot of WCW people.
Yeah, that was an overall. They needed to have a paradigm shift.
Bad job. Yeah.
What's that? Well, they needed.
That was an overall bad job.
Yeah. Exactly. And he was just part of it. And then there's also you hear about a lot of his attitudes backstage.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help things at all.
Similarly on my list is Sting. And
now that's straight up. That's straight up dropping the ball. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a Sting thing, but at the same time, they could have pushed a little harder. Something could have happened. Somebody could have talked to somebody. If they could have gotten back in touch with Bruno Sammartino and the Ultimate Warrior after all those years of, discontent, somebody could have made that happen sooner. And unfortunately, it was wrong place, wrong time, because look at how that all ended.
Yeah. Well, and there is, speaking of how they mishandled WCW guys during the transition, I never realized that was one of his big things, was how badly they ran down Booker. He said that was actually the big thing, was how they treated Booker on TV, and he hated that, or how they treated him initially, and that kind of sealed the deal for him.
Well, a lot of people looked at it
how they'll
as
treat me. So.
They lost their job because of WWE. Because WWE bought WCW, and if there was not an offer on the table, they'd still be running, even though that's not the case or whatever. But
sure,
was it Booker T versus Bagwell? I know it was Bagwell versus somebody.
Yeah, it was Booker T versus Bagwell.
Yeah,
that was
and
Bagwell's
that match just destroyed everything that they were going to have going.
Well, and there's all kinds of back and forth on that, and that's another story where the wrestlers say JR screwed them, and JR claims total innocence in everything. Ross never claims to have made mistakes in any capacity. So it's part of
Ross doesn't make mistakes, but Terry Funk makes mistakes.
Yeah. And I don't hate the guy, but that's part of why I stopped listening to him, because every time anyone said anything, he would never. I've never heard him say, you know what? There's probably a little truth. I've never heard him own up to anything. So, and there's all these stories that come out, and most of them are from guys that aren't successful. so so it's just like you have to take both sides of it with a grain of salt. But when you keep hearing stories from different people, and there's there's nothing in it for the guys to, like, it's not going to help them to call out someone that's kind of beloved by the wrestling community. So it's bad for them no matter what. It starts making me think, well, I don't know, maybe there's a perception issue in a lot of these cases, but why was the perception there, and why was it there with so many people? You just keep hearing these different stories, and he ends up being sort of connected to a lot of them. But
Right.
whatever. I wasn't in the business. I've never been backstage, so I'm not gonna fault anybody on anything in that regard. All this he said stuff. So, but anyway, where are we at? People who, well, right now, if Melissa Santos comes in, WWE has nailed it for Alberto Del Rio. But as of right now, they have failed with Alberto Del Rio, and there's no reason for it because he was so good on Lucha Underground. I don't understand why they can't give him something that makes sense for his character.
And I know your answer is going to have to do with Barrett, but they just dropped the ball on the League of Nations in general. Yeah. They could have had the League of Nations run roughshod.
Yeah.
Through the WWE clear for a year. Even the three guys.
Yeah.
And I think they dropped the ball on that in general. Not that any of them individually can't go on to good things. I hope Rusev wins the US title. And then, I hope it's not John Cena saving the company by claiming the US title and whatever.
On Memorial Day.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's going to happen, right?
Well, that's what a lot of people expect at this point, but it would be the smart move for WWE to say, well, just because John Cena comes back on American holiday doesn't mean he wins the U.S. title. So he can be in a match,
Mr. America,
but
though.
It doesn't mean he wins.
No, I mean, listen, they thought that, we all thought it some other time back whenever, that Cena was guaranteed to win, and it didn't work that way either. So
yeah, well, and we also all thought, we also never thought, I'll say, that Kevin Owens was going to debut on the roster in the U.S. Open Challenge and win the title that night, but that happened.
That didn't happen.
Yes, it did.
Kevin Owens never won the U.S. title, and when he debuted, it wasn't a match.
What?
He just attacked John Cena. He never won the U.S. title.
I thought
they were all non-title matches, and it happened at Elimination Chamber. It never happened on Monday Night Raw. Oh. He always backed out of it.
Well, I stand corrected. I thought that's what happened, but he showed up.
Yeah.
no one expected
he showed up. He showed up and powerbombed John Cena.
That's
stomped
right.
on the ice on the U.S. title.
That's right. That's what happened.
Beat him non-title Elimination Chamber, then lost to him 2 times in a row the next 2 pay-per-views. All non-title matches. Or I think maybe one was a U.S. title match, but I think they were.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I got it wrong. But yeah, I was I don't know why I got that wrong. For some reason, in my head, it's always been that he won that title.
No, I thought at Elimination Chamber that he won the title. I didn't realize it was a Piper versus Hogan in WCW kind of thing where they really didn't mention it was non-title, and you thought Piper won the world championship with a sleeper hold, and then it just turned out it was a non-title match.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So, but yeah, so it's a year ago.
Yeah, so that invalidated that point, but
no, yeah. I would think what Cena is, first of all, we have to get this title off of Kalisto.
Yes.
I'm not buying anything he's selling anymore. It's long gone. The brief window where I was excited for Kalisto and wanted to see what transpired with the U.S. title. Now it's a pre-show title belt that I really care less about right now. because of the guy who has it, because of the matches he's booked in as always the underdog. I'm over that. You know, just I want like a pure TV title. I want something that's going to be or treated as a TV title. It's going to be defended every week on one of the shows, and then and change hands. You know, give the fans something to be go home happy about, that they saw something that, you know, their live was not invalidated by a show where nothing happened. You know, something stupid like that. But we'll see. It could go around Rusev's waist. Cena can beat Rusev, and then Cena has the title clear to Royal Rumble. Who knows? But whatever. Little mini rant.
No, I'm with you. I get you. So yeah, I think we're done. We kind of got our topics off our chest and our mini rants off our chest. But give us any comments you have, and I'm working on getting this in an MP3 format for people who want to listen to it on the go. With that,
holy crap! Just do the closing. Get off my computer already.
What? You can't say that. That's the end. How do I say my close now? You've you bookended me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He is Angry Larry. And is he going to say anything else, or is he done? He's done. He really wanted us to get off this computer. Maybe we did. Maybe we're not here anymore. Bye.